Hello, welcome to this video on Excel Project 2. We're going to look at data validation functionality in Excel. In this video, that's the purpose of this project. Ensuring correct and valid data is huge, right? That's what we've been talking about a lot in this course, and you can use some of the functionality in Excel to ensure that data is accurate, valid, and correct. You'll want to get this information into a Excel spreadsheet, and I'm going to show you what mine looks like in a second. You'll follow the directions. Letter A says to include these following three items where they should be on the Excel file. And B, you're giving 4 data validation rules. We'll look at A and we'll look at D in this video. You're to give examples of A, B, C, and D here, and the definitions are provided below. I'm going to throw in a couple of extra matters while we're at it because it's pretty cool, and if we're going to do this, let's do it. All right, so here is my table. Cleaned it up a little bit. I don't, it's not perfect. Like I had that. If some of y'all would have called that right away, I probably had it that way for a long time and just saw it. So right there, just straight from what was provided in the project, the first data validation rules was all the employee numbers are 5 digits and numeric, no letters. And what have we got here? A letter. Somebody keyed it in wrong. Happens. Okay. Now, ideally we would create the data validation before we key it in. That way, Excel would come back and say, oh, you got a letter here, fix it. But we didn't. So let's just follow the directions here. So we got a data validation. Go to data validation, and then data validation again. It gives us a little pop-up box. And so we want whole numbers. We don't want employee number to have like dollars and cents, right? 0.00. We want whole numbers. And we want it to be 5 digits, so let's do greater than 10, 1, 2, 3. 5 digits, 10,000. Click OK. All right, so we've created that in this range, and I don't know if you saw it, I highlighted a whole range. Now, I can do this. We can go in, and this is not covered in your book. Anywhere, it's just me. I can say circle what's wrong based on the data validation rules that's been keyed in to this Excel spreadsheet. It's checking valid data validity after the error, right? Okay, so what we have here in employee number is we have a non-numeric digit keyed in. What we can do is we know that we have, in this example, 4 employees, and we know that the employee number should add up to be a certain number. Is that number of the total or the sum of employee numbers useful anywhere in the accounting system? No. It's just one more way of checking to make sure that we have the correct employees for this payroll period on the payroll report, that we've actually paid the correct employees for the payroll period. Does it mean we paid them correctly? No, but it means we've included all the employees that should have been paid. We're not missing one. We didn't duplicate one. We didn't throw in a new one we weren't expecting. So that's all it's going to do. And let's say, for instance, that 2178G, let's say, I don't know, let's just make up a number. It's a 6. I don't know. I'm just making one up. When I do that, the total for employee numbers, and I'm not going to give you the terminology here, we're going to let you look it up. The total adds up to be 182,058. We know that is correct. That's what we were expecting before we ran payroll. We were expecting for the total employee numbers to be 182,058. So we feel really good that we've included the correct employees on this payroll period, pay period. Doesn't mean the math's right. It just means that we've included the employees correctly. Okay, so pay rate would be between 9 and 25 according to project instructions. Hours worked, It's either less than or equal to. I can't remember if it's less than or equal to or less than 40. It's probably equal to or less than 40. And then deductions, this is a little tricky. It's 40% of gross pay. All right. And I'm going to show you this one. I probably shouldn't, but it's a little tricky, and it's an online class. I think it's the right thing to do. So, the data validation. And here is your rules. Whole number. I think I could have done decimal. You know, I think that would have been fine. Greater than or equal to, or could have done less than or equal to. I'm going to show you what I did. I did, because I wanted a negative number here. And the reason I wanted a negative number is I wanted, pointing with my finger, you can't see that, net pay to be correct on my Excel spreadsheet. So I just summed up net pay. I did 400.9 plus negative 125. So the way I did mine, and you can do yours a little differently if you want. So I had to do negative 0.4, and then I just did sum. So what it's going to do, because this is Excel and we didn't use an absolute value of the dollar signs, it's just going to do 440 times 0.4. And is it greater than that? And it is. But a negative number greater than that. And because I got the negative right there. And it flags it because it's obvious that 40% of 440 is a whole lot less than 395. Okay. So that's how you do that one. The other thing I want to do, and this is not in your requirements, but I just think it's pretty cool. So we can do error here. And if the, because we're doing a cross-footing balance check. So the total of net pay, this column totaled up, summed up, should be the same as 5100.90 minus 770.00. If it's not, you get an error. And here's the form. If the sum of E9 through F9, which is right here, equals the sum of G5, I just did that wrong. I did that wrong. I was giving it to you backwards. E9 and F9, because the sum. Again, I wanted to use the sums. That's why I have negative numbers. If the sum of these two numbers equals the sum of these four numbers, then just key in this, the sum of this. If not, comma, error. And that's what I have. So right now, they don't match. And they don't match at all because there's an error in here. And we're not, I didn't want to clean it up because I'm just using what was given to us in the project. So 5100.90 plus negative 770 is not the same thing as the total of this because there's an error in here. It's going to give us an error. So again, that formula is equal sum of these two numbers if the sum of these two numbers is equal to the sum of these two numbers, comma, sum, just key those in. We could have done this. I could have done, instead of E9 through F9, which are these two, I could have said, instead of right here, E9 through F9, I could have said sum G5 through G8. Whichever one you want. It doesn't matter. Right? And if it's not true, key in error. So that's your formula if you want to see it right there where my mouse is. The other one is pretty cool. You can do a record count and you don't have to type it in. You don't have to go 1, 2, 3. Because if it's got 100 or 300 files, right? Skipping lines, you don't have to do that. You just do equal count and you do the range. And it'll calculate it for you. I think that's pretty cool. And then the instructions clearly said to do the field limit and just to define, give examples of these. And you can probably tell that I just changed the color of the ink from black or whatever I'm using to white so it doesn't display. Because I think I accidentally at one point in the video revealed an answer by clicking in a cell and it showed it up there. So anyway, and then if you want to clear out the circles aren't required. I did those for teaching purposes, but they're pretty cool. So hopefully this is informative and you can use some of this going forward. Your accounting majors, I really do encourage you to use this. I've seen it a lot, used it a lot personally. And if you're going to use Excel to check your cross-footing balance check, well, there is your cross-footing balance check formula. It's a perfect one. It'll be there and useful for you going forward. And no matter what you do in accounting or anything, it can be personal too. Going forward, it's a useful tool. If you have any questions, please email.